Hey, I'm going to talk about me, right? I actually dropped out of medical school and I decided to pursue entrepreneurship instead.
Actually, building startup is a very hard job.
Like, oh, I haven't been able to take a break for 2 years. I'm like, no, that's not right. Hey, why can't I find the people around me?
Why you left Canada to Singapore?
Didn't know anyone, didn't
Yeah,
know
that's
anything.
that's very easy. You just go across the world to Singapore. 80% you give it for free, and then 20% you charge, but for a fair price. This is a very rare, but you still have to pay the bills.
Yes, so let me explain that. My experience is that people are looking to help you succeed.
Let's do some come back to introduction. Hey, hello. Can you tell me what's your name, where you're from, and what your company do?
Yeah, my name is Conrad. I am from Canada. I currently run a nonprofit foundation. We focus on helping people live better lives. It's a big word, but essentially the gist of it is that we help people understand themselves, unlock potential, and live their best life. And so the take on that is, there's a lot of things that we wish we knew just a day ago, a week ago, a year ago. And we are just a community of people that want to come together and create resources that would have helped us in our past selves. And so the mission is that we want to help people actually be able to move forward, right, on things that they've been stuck on, to level up in a way, right, and to be able to break through on challenges that they've deemed to be quite impossible or just struggling through at the moment.
And what the name of the non-profit company?
Yeah, it's the CoX3 Family Foundation. Co X3 stands for a community of co-creators and collaborators. So we're around 20,000 members around the world and 150 countries. So we are a very, very lively and happy group. And yeah, we just are really excited about helping people level up and living their best life.
I've heard many times from you that we had a conversation about that you are not really a nomad, but we've been yesterday on the panel talk. I became a nomad entrepreneur because, and I know that you travel a lot. Do you define yourself? What do you think about these labels? Nomad, digital nomad, nomad entrepreneur.
Yeah. I don't know, like, I think labels are very funny because obviously they help group people together. I think, like, I saw a lot of businesses here at the conference who brand themselves as Nomad something, even this magazine, right? Nomad Gossip. And I think it's really good to kind of identify, like, hey, oh, I believe I'm a nomad, let's say, and should read this magazine because I care about, the gossip about nomads. So I think labels are really powerful in that way that you can really find your tribe, but I also feel like they're limiting in a certain way too. Because when I first heard about nomad life, and it was from a few of my friends who, I had met during my travels, and they're like, oh yeah, I go to a new place every single month. I'm in Taiwan, I'm in Hong Kong, I'm in wherever, Thailand. And to me, what their definition of nomadism was really like not having a home, not having a base, right? Wandering the world. And if you look at the traditional definition of nomad, I would think that's actually pretty accurate, right? But what I've realized though is that I don't necessarily, you know, resonate with that. I don't want to feel like I have no home. I don't want to feel like I have no base. And what I realized a lot along the way, and especially having so many friends that are like this, is that they actually are still looking for belonging while they're on their travels. They're looking for people around them. We're all social creatures. We're not going to be alone forever. We want to belong, right? And so for me, my version of nomadism, I think, is a very different, right? I like creating bases everywhere I go. I like being able to go to a place and feel like I am at home. And what I realize makes me feel really at home is when I'm around amazing people, right? Like yourself, where I feel like we want to push each other, to grow and learn, right? To support each other, to have no judgments, right? That's really all we want, right? And I dare say a lot of people that left their homes is because they were trying to run away from judgment. People are trying to control them, people not being supportive, etc. So,
We have finally the answer of what we are running away from.
well, okay, I just want to be clear. I don't want to also, categorize anyone in any box, right? But at least in my observations, that seemingly is what nomadism was about, and therefore my own take on it was, how can I make a situation where no matter where I go in the world, I have people that are like me, that are going to support me, and that's really what birthed the idea of the nonprofit foundation, the Cox Free Family, because I believe that if we are able to connect together on a world scale and really come together to do amazing things, make positive impact together. I think that is a wonderful place to be. And one of our programs we ended up creating under our community programs was the co-living spaces, right, around the world. So we have a space in Singapore, we have a few places in Osaka, we have places in San Francisco, in Toronto. So anywhere we go in those areas, and many, many more soon. We have someone in Bangalore trying to open something up in
Oh, that's
Turkey.
amazing. You're also doing
Yeah.
the co-living experiences.
Yes, yes, yeah. So like Bangalore is opening up soon. I think Turkey as well. Just really anyone who's coming through our house that feels like they want to create this experience back home and welcome other people into their country, and also have the experience of nomading but from home because other people come to you and teach them what they know. I think it's just a wonderful, wonderful life I'm living, and I'm very appreciative, lucky, and grateful.
How you were able to build your community people in different places whenever you go? You travel a lot for work, but how you're being able to find and build those communities so you feel like home, doesn't matter where you go.
Yeah, so around like 4 years ago, almost five now, I was at like a kind of an impasse in my life. I was very, very sad because, and depressed actually, because I wasn't able to find the right people around me. That's what I believed. I was like, hey, why can't I find the people around me? Why can't I just go to meetups.com or Eventbrite or whatever events is happening out there and find people I care about, right? Why? And I was kind of in a victim mindset for a long time. I was very, in the mindset that like, hey, I can't find them, therefore they must not exist, therefore I'm alone and I don't feel like I belong. And so, of course, that probably drives many people to do many different things, right? And so, as sort of my last Hail Mary, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to tell people about who I am and what I care about. I'm going to publicly broadcast it, right? I chose YouTube as my medium. Many people choose Twitter or anything else, but I choose YouTube. And when I blasted myself out, I was almost immediately greeted by an overwhelming avalanche of people saying, like, I believe in that too. I want to build cool stuff. I want to share them with other people. I want to learn and grow together, right? I want to be part of this, community that you seem to be creating, and I want to do it together with you. I was like, wow, that's crazy, right? All it takes was for me to talk about what I care about. All it takes for me is to share a bit of me, and other people would listen, right? And other people might join me on this journey, right? There's such a amazing experience. Even at this conference, okay? I didn't tell anybody I was coming to this conference until I was actually here. No one on social media, no one online. I got here. After our talk yesterday, someone came up to me from the audience and they showed me on their phone. They're like, Conrad, I joined your community in 2020. They've been here for 4 years
Oh my
and they
God.
found me out of nowhere, right? And they're nomadic. And again, my content was never about being a nomad, right? It's just about trying to make positive impacts as a whole and make the world better in some meaningful way. He was here,
Oh my God.
crazy, right? So you have no idea the impact that you'll make just by talking about what you care about. And I use that methodology, I guess, in everything I do now, right? When I go to a new place, first thing I do is say, hey, this is what I care about. How are you? Nice to meet you, right? And you might not resonate, you might resonate, doesn't matter, right? The chances of me finding out that you care about the same things I care about is exponentially higher.
I want to come back a little bit to your luck, to how I heard many times you said, like, I'm lucky because I had my FinTech startup that I built, and now you are less stressful about the financial part, and you are having more room and energy to give back to people through the nonprofit. And actually, as I learned from you, 80% you give it for free, and then 20% you charge, but for a fair price. This is a very rare situation from everything I see around, and nomads, we have to sustain our travel, we have to pay for accommodation, we have to make money in order to make it happen. And I hear all the time you say, I'm lucky, I'm lucky, I'm lucky. I want to hear more about what brought you to that lucky place. And actually building startup, it's a very hard job. Can you talk about more about that's why you left Canada to Singapore to decide build the financial to fintech? What that brought you luck eventually?
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. I might answer this question two different ways, I think, if you'll allow me. Thank you for, I guess, introducing some of my background as well. I For those who don't know, I actually dropped out of medical school in my third year, and I decided to pursue entrepreneurship instead. And for me, like it was very interesting because I never thought that that's something I would do. You know, you hear all those stories about like Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, whatever, and those tech giants, and oh they dropped out of school to start something. And for me, I never thought that was the case because I've always had a singular goal since I was young, which was to help people. And I've always thought that the easiest way was to heal someone, right? To help someone in the medical sense, to help people recover from their health. And a big reason of that was because I did have, family members around me. My mom was very sick and always is sick. And I just noticed that there's something that I think I could do in this space to help. But it was really only when I was in school that I realized that the way that the Canadian medical system is set up is not necessarily very conducive for any sort of flexibility, let's call it that, in treatment and care. There's a very strict code of conduct on how you can treat someone. You have to diagnose and give them prescriptions and everything. And then you're also capped on, how many patients you can see a given day. And so for me, like at that time, and now it's obvious now, but back then people didn't know. Like I was like, oh, mental health is definitely connected to physical health. That's what's my thesis because I saw that no matter how many pills my mom got, no matter how much treatment she never got better. And I saw very much because I lived with her that it was a mental triggered issue. And so, me being in school and realizing that I wasn't going to be able to connect mental with physical, and not even talk about psychiatry. Psychiatry, you would assume to be something like that, but it's also not necessarily the case because you have this big book of ailments, right? And you can only prescribe them certain things. It's very regulated and very controlled space. There's no space for humanity, for like, hey, what actually is going on in your life? How can we be helpful, and what can we do for you? It's more like get in, get out, and move on, get your pills and leave. So going through school, I've always had many side jobs, and I've always been entrepreneurial by nature, I guess. But again, never to the degree of like, oh, I'm going to start a company and do all that. But it's more like, hey, I have ideas about how to make the world better, and I would like to execute on them and build them up. So I kind of fell into an opportunity throughout my work where I was working a lot with different technologies, building up databases and systems for. Actually, I was working for a nonprofit at that time. They were connecting volunteers with the elderly and trying to help them with groceries, driving them to different doctor visits and stuff like that. And I initially went in to help with the marketing perspective. I was like, hey, I'm doing a double major in neuroscience and psychology. I should probably know something about marketing, right? It's about human nature. And it was a good cause. I wanted to help market them. I got there and I realized very quickly that their problem wasn't marketing, their problem was systems. They had no idea how to manage all the different people that were actually coming in through the marketing that were wanting to help. And they had just this one nice lady just sitting at a desk with a giant planner in front of her and just writing down like appointments and everything. Like she was the system, right? And I'm like, what happens when she gets sick? She's like, oh, I haven't been able to take a break for 2 years. I'm like, no, that's not right. We're in the age of technology. There has to be a solution out there. Come on, right? So I, scoured online. I researched. I tapped friends. I tapped, different resources. I was like, what can I do to quickly build a system for her? Volunteer matching system together with um, the elderly. And it was in that moment that I found, a software to do it. It was a low-code platform in order to kind of quickly build something and iterate. I built it within a week, deployed it, tested it, and within that summer they were live. And poor, I think her name was Brenda. Poor Brenda didn't have to be crouching on that anymore and like scratching out everything and having that as her experience. So, anyways, that was my first foray into like building systems. I had no idea about any coding, any technical expertise before that, and that inspired me. I was like, hey, that's cool, right? I can help someone's lives with technology.
Yeah.
That's I don't have to heal someone. I don't have to be there medically, but maybe just even technology is there to support more people at scale. So when the time came, and actually coincidentally, the company that I ended up using the low code platform, they reached out and we started working more together because I had such a good product. I had such a good example of how their product was being utilized, right? We worked more together, and eventually we had an opportunity to co-found something. And they're like, "Hey, we want to take our technology and completely put it into another vertical, right? We're going to completely focus on financing and fintech, and the whole goal of this is going to be helping startups and SMEs get access to affordable financing." I'm like, that sounds like a good idea, right? A lot of companies need financing. They need to continue their livelihood. They want to continue their business. They're doing good work. just hasn't realized to its full potential yet. And they are probably supporting a lot of mouths, right, within the company. Maybe that's how I can give back to the world, and that's how I can start. So when I went through that journey and I said, okay, sure, let's do it. It's crazy. I've never thought about this before. I went straight to my registrar at my university. I said, hey, I have this opportunity. I think I can't miss it. What's going to happen, right, to my degree? What's going to happen if I leave? They're like, no problem. As long as you come back within 20 years, you can continue.
20 years.
Yeah.
20 years, so you still can come back?
So that's luck. That's
Yeah.
luck, right? That's luck for sure, right? Luck that I didn't have to feel immediate loss of an opportunity, right? Luck that I could pursue this opportunity. Luck that I even got this opportunity at all, of course, but also luck that, it all came together that, like, hey, not only was I not going to have to go into more depth because of my medical studies, I could actually start making money and started supporting my family, right? So I was like, that's obviously the step to go, right? So again, luck in the sense that most people have a very hard decision to make. Mine was easy. I have to say, mine was an easy decision. It was painful, of course, because I had to completely change my mindset on how I could, be my best self and do what I wanted to do for the world. But painless in that I knew it was risk-free, in a sense, right? So, anyways, I went across the world to Singapore. Didn't know anyone. Didn't
Yeah,
know
that's
anything.
that's very easy. You just go across the world to Singapore, to a completely different country from Canada. Yeah, that's very easy.
Yeah. So different risk appetites, I guess. Yeah. No, but like, I got there and I was all ready to just dive head in and do everything. And I did that for, many, many years, sleepless nights, 16, 18-hour days. That's the life of a startup founder. And, I signed up for that. That was my decision. And I don't regret a minute of that, right? And we were able to help hundreds of companies, continue their business because of what we did. So very fulfilling, but along the journey, I very much realized that there is still a gap in helping someone on a technological level uh, in such a way because you don't actually end up touching and touching the hearts of people that you're reaching out to. And again, I realized again later on, and the thing about experiences is that often you need to actually have them before you realize and learn that's what you want and what you don't want. So while I was very happy that I was helping people and that was still part of my ethos, I wasn't able to actually get that face-to-face interaction I really craved. So I was like, okay, so what can I do about that? How do I change that for myself? What can I do? And so,
So
yeah.
the startup, the one that you built, is to helping get funding for company, for
Yes,
startups,
especially for SMEs, for small and medium enterprises, and for startups. Yeah,
for better loans, for better rates, and easier the process.
yeah. So the gist of that is like when you're first starting out a company, you have no credit history, right? They don't know how good you are as an entrepreneur. They don't know your success, and they're not going to give you any. No banks are going to give you a loan. And because you don't have a loan, you can't prove that you're good at paying loans. So then you don't get loans at all, right? And whoever is willing to risk it on you is going to charge you an exorbitant rate that is completely disrespectful, right? And it's not going to be your best interest to take.
Yeah.
And that's particularly a problem in Southeast Asia. So what we decided to do was to come in and say, hey, how do we make it so that your credit history as an individual is reflected in your credit history as a company? How do we make it so that your everyday transactions as a company, whether it be paying back vendors for services rendered, can be used to prove that you're a credit-worthy individual, right, or company? And how do we talk to the banks and different funders to make sure you get the rates that are respectful of your time and your energy? So that was really the gist of all that. And but again, like for me, I still really want that face to face. So I was like, hey, how do I do that? And more importantly, actually, what did I learn in the last few years of entrepreneurship, of startups, of realizing that all these things that I thought were true in the past have suddenly changed. Like everyone has like perspective shifts, right? I like to call them that. And I think like it's really interesting because if as long as someone talks about those perspective shifts, I think people will be able to see the world a bit differently and realize that there's something different that you can do to make your life better. So I went on YouTube. I said like, hey, I'm going to talk about me, right? This is what I care about. These are some lessons I've learned, and specifically one of the lessons I learned was when I was much younger. A lot of people, parents, uh, mentors in my life were saying like, hey, stop playing video games. Video games are not helpful for you. Video games will not help you, in your real life. Grow up, right? That was really everything everyone people told me. And so, that made me very sad because I love playing video games, as I'm sure many people watching do. And being told that it was a detriment to my future success and being told that I would never amount to anything if I continued down this path just made me so upset and so sad because there's something about games that really just triggered me that made me feel like I was at the top of the world. I was the main character, right? It made me feel like I was successful because I was able to, in those games, do things that I might not be able to do in real life, right? So like it was very nice, and I was like, oh, how come this isn't something that will help me in the future as well? And of course, I'm not advocating for playing video games 24/7, but I did have a hunch that it was going to be helpful for me one day. Well, lo and behold, when you start a company, what do? You're bringing party members together, you're slaying the dragons, you're getting rewards, is resource management. Hey, I learned this. I know how this works, right? I was training for this my whole life. So I was like, wow, right? And if only people could imagine their life as a game, how much more productive could we be? How many times do we play video games where we are actually motivated and excited to do certain things and do certain tasks that, will be chores in everyday life, right? Kill 10 chickens, slay these 5 cows, bring this thing from there to there. That sounds like chores to me, but I like doing it. Why? Because there's gamification around it, right? I'm earning points, I'm earning experience, I'm earning rewards for the things I do. So
And becoming better and better with every
yes,
level.
yes, and becoming better and better. So I was like, how come people are leveling up their online virtual characters and not leveling up their real life characters? And so on that thesis, I decided to share my system of how I gamify my life. I shared it with the world. I was very lucky in that people resonated with it. I had thousands, tens of thousands of people immediately like really resonate as well, and they're like, "Hey, I get it. Me too. How can I be a part of this?" Because I really just presented it as like a community collaborative project. I don't want to build it alone. No game is successful because you're playing single player, right? I love multiplayer games. I think multiplayer is the most interesting form of games because you have dynamics for other people. You can leverage the social connections, right? You're doing things together, and I really, really like that. So I started that, and again, thankfully it was successful, and luckily that was that. And then it was around a year into that where I was really just working on this on the weekends because I was still very busy startup founder, and COVID had just happened as well, and I was like, wow, this is really amazing, this online community thing we have, but how could we make it like in person, right? Because I'm lonely, right? Like when I went to Singapore, I got a place by myself, and I didn't make that many good friends, as I mentioned. I didn't feel like anyone really understood who I was, what I cared about, all these things that I'm talking to you about today on this, on this video. And so I was like, hey, what if I could bring the online community to physical, right? What if I told people that, hey, we're going to have this amazing place where we're going to have two main things. The first one is you're going to live with people that want to help you grow and learn, right? It's not like any other co-living space where you don't get to choose the people and you're going to fight with them about random stuff like, who's doing the dishes, don't walk into the house with your shoes on, right? I want us to be really there because we care about each other, right? And then the second thing is that we're going to make this a space where we're going to grow a community, right, of people that are going to continuously support each other, right? They're going to help each other, whether you are coming in brand new to a country, right, and you're going to be easily able to set up yourself and have a community, have friends, right, have a network. I put my first video out actually at the beginning of COVID, right, when things weren't so bad yet, and I don't know if you guys know, but in Singapore we had this thing called circuit breaker measures, which basically meant that you can only meet with one other person the whole day, every single day. And it was just so terribly lonely. And, the online community was great. It was thriving. People were excited. People were giving out ideas. We were improving, the gamification project. That's what we called it then. Now it's called Gamify Your Life. But then we also ended up building things about being intentional, right? Pursuing your goals, right? Systematizing other different parts of your life. And it was really fulfilling, but I still felt like after I turned off the Zoom call and I was just transported back into my everyday world. And it was sad. It was lonely. I was alone by myself in Singapore. And I just really, really wanted to have the same feeling I had online, but kind of 24/7. And so I kind of first reached out to my friends who were having, roommates already and trying to ask them about their experience. Because of course I know about the whole college roommate situation. Like that sucks. You don't want to live with people when you're in dorms, but you have to, right? But as you know, like many things can come up, conflicts and whatnot. But I thought, hey, maybe we're older now. Maybe people who are living together in their 20s and their 30s don't have these kind of problems. So I was asking my friends, like, hey, so how's your living situation with roommates? Like, I hate it. I have to argue with people about doing the dishes. They're tracking mud into the house with their shoes. They're throwing orgies, every other weekend. Not really, but like it's disruptive, right? That's not the environment they want to be in. They're like, I'm never living with people again. And I thought that was so interesting. We have two opposites. I want to live with people, and he never wants to live with people. Is there something that could bridge the middle? Is there potentially something for both sides? And so I thought about it. I was like, what makes our online community special? Well, we're special because we actually come in wanting to engage. We're coming in wanting to be part of this, to help each other learn something new, right? We're not coming in here with ego. We're coming in here with curiosity and a willing to learn from each other and be part of the space. I said, what if a co-living space could be like that? What if we could create a space where we can actually bring people together who really want to be there, right? And our whole goal is to talk to one another. Wouldn't that be beautiful? Wouldn't that be nice? And what if there was a place where you didn't have to worry about any of the, you know, misunderstandings and the inconveniences of living with other people, and there's just strict rules that managed it. Do the dishes if you ate something. No duh, right? What if there are penalties involved in that? You see the gamification element coming in, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, what if all these things could come together? And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to do it. And so my luck here as well is that I am someone who's very quick to action if I care about something. So I had the idea. Within a month, I was like, okay, I'm going to start looking for places. Within 2 weeks from that, I got a place. I got a place that I couldn't afford. It was 5 bedrooms, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to try. This is my bet. It was 5 times my existing rent before. So, I was going to go broke really quick. But I was like, I need this. And I believe with the bottom of my heart, with my full being, that everyone else, there are people out there that need this too. That is my thesis.
So
So,
what did you do?
so I put myself out there, right? I told people that, hey, I'm doing this thing crazy, but if you want to live with me, please. And someone from South Africa came and reached out and said, hey, Conrad, I'm starting a business in Singapore. I want to live with you. This sounds great. I'm like, yes, please. Please come by. Second month, a director from Google heard about us. He said, hey, I want to live with you. I've been in Singapore for a while. I want to change my lifestyle. I want to learn what you guys are doing in the startup space. Kind of, yes. Third month, someone from Turkey came. Fourth month, someone from India came.
Nice.
So it was just crazy that like I had this idea. I cared a lot about this. I passionately shared about it. People saw that I was serious about it. I put my money where my mouth was, right? I invested in it, and people came. And so for me, I would consider that a lot of luck factors, of course, right? And it was really the coming together of both the online community and the physical now co-living community. It's called Our Family Without Borders. It's a play on words of Doctors Without Borders because again, I really really wanted to be a doctor and join Doctors Without Borders. That was really one of my goals when I was younger, just to travel the world and be a doctor. So this is my way of manifesting that. How can I create spaces where people can come together, grow and live together, help each other in our startups, help each other in whatever we're doing, whether it be studying, design. Like it's so crazy actually because
So how many locations do you have right now?
yeah, I wanted to share about that because it's actually really crazy because we started in Singapore, but as people came and graduated, we call it, from our house, they're like, hey, we're going to this country next. I want to have a house like that too. It doesn't exist. I don't have a place where I can choose the people I want to live with, and I want to can be a part of deciding who gets to join us and who I want to learn from. Like, can we start another place? I'm like, of course you can, right? Here's how you can do it. I give them the whole blueprint. This is how you can do it. This is what the benefits for you as a host, right? And this is how you're gonna help everyone
So it's
else out
like
there.
a franchise, kind
Almost like a
of?
franchise, exactly. Yeah.
Oh.
So then we quickly expanded. We had a place in Sydney, Australia, that was for PhD students in architecture. That was really cool,
Nice.
right? So a community member of ours started that, and then we have two properties in Osaka now. That's more for creatives. That's for people. We have had like Hollywood directors go through there. We've had like photographers. It's amazing. We have
So do you charge for franchise giving blueprint out?
no, not really, actually. So, like, I mean, the everything works on like a donation basis, I guess. It's like, hey, if you are part of our community and you care about this, and of course they've been part of our houses before, they kind of know how it runs, right? We're charging, a very fair cost of whatever it costs us to get the place to begin with, right? Anything extra is for extra amenities, right? Extra
Yeah.
stuff that we think would be helpful to people in the
Yeah.
house. So, for example, in the house, we also have a house in San Francisco. So there's unlimited food there. If you go there, you can
Yeah.
just eat unlimited food. The house in Singapore now has also a meal plan. So you have 3 meals a day, all prepared for you. Just
Yeah.
focus on whatever you want to do. Focus on your passion and your purpose. But yeah, we also have a place in San Francisco that's more for like people who are working in the Bay Area in big tech. We have a place in Toronto that just opened up, which is
Oh,
awesome,
cool.
back in my hometown. So it just became like this amazing thing where people are coming in, understanding what we're doing because they care about it too, and
Okay.
they realize that we need it in different parts of the world.
So I have a question about that, and you know this question that when I was launching my magazine, I realized that I have such a little capacity in my attention to, I had to have environment where I can completely focus and be on my own bubble and
Yeah.
focused only on things that I'm working on regarding the magazine. I also have my full-time job, so I
Yeah.
had to a lot of mind switch, and I made sure that I have no distractions that I don't plan. And when you live in co-living and you're trying to build something, you also need to be focused. You
Yeah.
also need to be focused on making money to sustain your, but also you have a lot of people to communicate. And there are different parts of the brain that operates when you are for social. When you are very social, being deep work is harder unless you're when you're on your own. Having deep work hours is so easier when you are social. So I never could consider myself being in co-living like this because I'm just afraid that I will have a lot of beautiful inspirational talk, but nothing
No
done,
action. Yeah.
no
Yeah.
actions.
Yeah, I absolutely can answer that. And again, I'm not going to say it's for everyone. I just want to be very clear. I do think I have an answer, a solution for this, but it is depending on the way that you operate as well. And if you are someone that already knows exactly what you want to do and you just need to execute. If you're that person, you don't need outside influence, of course. But what we found is that when you live together with people that have enough shared context as you, so as you can hear, like we kind of have like themes in our houses, and it's just also organic, right? So the house in Singapore is very founder focused because again, I started when I was a founder, so it became very founder focused. But it was very much like if you learn something, you can immediately share that with someone else, and they can learn it and they can apply it in their business immediately. If you made a mistake, everyone else can immediately stop making that mistake. So we now live in a 6 bedroom house. It's a very nice property in Singapore. So we have 6 roommates, right? 6 housemates. And so everybody has the opportunity to learn and make a mistake every single day. Let's say minimum one thing, okay? I'm learning 5 times faster because I have these people around
Right.
me, right? And we all have shared context. We all are doing something similar, right? Not to say similar vertical, doesn't have to be similar vertical. But if we're all building businesses, then we all have something to learn from each other, right? Maybe that guy learns how to deal with, a rogue employee. Maybe that guy learns how to deal with, investor relationships. Maybe that guy learns how to deal with, better packaging your products. They all come together. And so having the right people around you, our tagline, I guess, is you are the average of the 5 people close to you. And so what I
So
aspire
you
to,
brought them to your house
yes,
to be
yeah,
better.
to be better together, right? And we have really funny stats too, like to prove that being together is stronger. It's like, hey, actually, we have I don't know if you guys know the Y Combinator. It's an accelerator in SF, very famous. We have 100% acceptance rate to Y Combinator from people who came from our house. That's crazy, right? That's a crazy, like no accelerator, no group can say this. Everybody who applied to Y Combinator got in. Why? Because someone who went to Y Combinator was living in the house and they could tell you about how to get into Y Combinator. And they could not just tell you, right? It's not just like you get a hack, you go in, but we can also help, limit test each other's businesses to make sure that we have good businesses to be able to go into a accelerator program like that. So like there's a lot of like shared benefits that you don't really realize until you are around people that are like you and doing similar things. I mean, I even dare say in this, right? You're trying to learn how to do these videos and everything. I think you're doing an amazing job. But of course, I've also done this and I can share something I know with you, right? And you wouldn't know that unless you accidentally bumped into me, or in my case, I have purposely brought us all together, right? In the house. So I think that's my big answer to that. And how this all then connects to like how my life is shaped now is that I realized that this was my true calling. I realized that being around people, creating communities like this, Making a better life, not just for myself, but for the people around me, is what really drives me. And you asked me about luck, and you asked me about how, like, maybe having a successful, fintech company has helped me do the things I do now. I can promise you, if even I was paid $0 for any of this, I would still be doing this today. Absolutely. I have no doubts in my mind about that, right? Because the thing about it is that um, the way I run the nonprofit is also like a business. Not in the sense
But you
that,
still have to pay the bills.
yes, so let me explain that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like how
Yeah,
this. I believe in all this idea. I do the magazine also not for the money, but I still have to pay salaries, and I
yes,
still have to pay for the print, and
yep,
that stresses me,
I
stresses
understand.
me out.
Yes. So I want to be very
Yeah.
clear. I'm not speaking from a high horse here. I know the financials of a nonprofit very clearly, and I'm telling you it's self-sustainable. I'm going to teach you how, right? I will share how. So the way I run the company is very much like a business. So I have this philosophy is that I hate how startups work in the sense that, like, I don't like the idea that you just continuously raise money and continuously run at a loss until you somehow someday monetize your audience. I hate that. I think that's a terrible business to do. Just my own personal opinion, because you're not actually validating your cost of your goods. You're not actually validating if people are willing to pay for it, or they just got a really good deal. It's cheaper than the market because you have VC money pumped in, right? Just my personal opinion, right? Take it or leave it. Um, so the way I decided to run my startup was very different. I wanted to run it profit first, right? How do we make sure that we monetize the things that are meant to be monetized, and how do we make sure we can sustain ourselves even without investments? The same critique I would have for nonprofits. A lot of nonprofits are focused on getting donations to support their bottom line. They're focused on getting government grants. And the moment these two run out, you have no business, right? My take on it is no. I want to run a nonprofit like I would run the business that I'm running, right? I want to make sure that everything we do is break even. The difference why I made it a nonprofit specifically instead of a for-profit is I don't want any shareholders. I don't want any investment pressure. I don't want to be some days like, hey, I really cared about co-X3. I really believed that it was going to change the world, but they suddenly sold it to another company, and now it's under a private equity firm. No, I don't want that. I want it to be a pure thing that everyone in the community contributes to and everyone's a part of, right? Doesn't mean we're going to go broke. If we go broke, then this doesn't, we didn't provide enough value. My take on it is this: 80% of the stuff is free because we want people who cannot pay for it to be able to get access to it and level up, right? I don't think knowledge, tools, or community resources should be locked behind the doors of a paywall that only the top of the top, cream of the crop, can access. Everyone should be able to access this. I believe, though, there's only 20% of our resources that are just so good that are going to help you level up within, like, minutes to days to hours, right? Or minutes to hours to days, right? And I think those ones are super valuable, right? And those ones I think should be paid at a fair rate, right? Those ones are the things that are going to help you accelerate your journey.
So what? I'm sorry for interrupting. What
Yes.
is the income streams of the nonprofit?
Yeah.
How it makes sustainable?
Yeah, so we have merchandise as well. So we have shirts, of course, right? So we call it intentional wear. It's basically messages that we really want to remind ourselves every single day, right? Whether it's like you control what you do today, right? Or things that just really remind you that these messages that really can make life better. We also have different tools that we share. Like we have different templates on how to, like, build better habits. How to pursue your best self. How to build a vision board, right? How to gamify your life, right? So all these things. And then we also have memberships, right? You can join a membership. You get access to getting advice from, or just getting help, right, from people who created the products inside the community, getting behind the scenes content, right, getting more valuable content that will help you level up yourself as well. So it's really everything that we think that can help you really accelerate your growth journey. But that doesn't mean that the things that are on the basic level not going to be there, right? If you want to learn, if you want to grow, we have everything for you. You're not going to get nothing, right? I hate companies that go out there and say, hey, you can only get us if you pay for us. Here's this coaching session. Here's this, course. Pay $1,000, then maybe we can help you. No, I'm going to help you first. If you found that our stuff was helpful, again, what we always say is our way is just our way, but we hopefully can help inform your way. Everyone's way is different. Everyone's walk of life is different. I'm not here promising a magic pill to anything, and if anyone promises you that, run away, run hard away, right? Nobody has a magic answer to anything, but what we have is a community of people that might be like you, that might be able to share with you something that will help you because it helped us. That's all we want to do. And if we found something that was super valuable, that would have made our journey, cut our journey down by 10 times, right? We could have leveled up 10 times faster. We're going to charge for that. And we're going to charge a fair rate for that so that you know that it's valuable and you know that once you get it, you can also be benefiting from that resource as well.
Thank you so much. I will wrap it up.
Okay, that's good.
I want to ask one question, very typical for digital nomads, is you're traveling a lot, you have communities around the world, you have basically created your places where you belong yourself. But what is your favorite place where you love to come back over and over again?
Yeah. Japan, no doubt. Japan. Japan is the best place to go. I'm gonna make a case on it. Do you mind? I'll make a 1 minute pitch for Japan. Okay.
Yes.
I'll try my best. Japan is clean. It's safe. Has amazing people. People are nice. People are willing to share with you, right? And people always say that, oh, Japan's so closed off. You can't make friends. Bullshit. I guarantee you, if you do something similar to what I did, right? I share about myself. I talk very openly and passionately about what I care about. The language barrier does not matter. I spent a whole year last year traveling all of Japan, just trying to understand how the people here live and how they found ikigai in their lives. Ikigai is basically finding their passion, purpose, and mission all together, right? And I was able to learn so much from people who didn't speak English, from people who just wanted to be part of their my experience, right? To show me something that they knew, and the amount of love, care, and just serenity that I found here is, I think, transformative in the way that you can see the world. I think we're all stuck in maybe your little glass box of wherever it might be. Maybe it's the hierarchies that in your work setting that you are in. Maybe it's trying to chase the nomad ladder of like making enough monthly revenue, right? I dare say, if you can find the time to go to Japan, you will really experience something that would open up your eyes and help you realize that maybe that's not all it's meant to be. Maybe there's more to life in this. Maybe there's more to myself that I haven't discovered about myself enough, that I don't understand enough about myself. And I would say that this place has been transformative. And yeah, try it out. Come.
Where would you recommend to go to outside, if not to count Kyoto, Osaka, and Tokyo? Are there any other places that you really like, and would you recommend to go for as a traveler or digital nomad?
Yeah, so caveat, don't go to cities. Cities will drain you. Cities are not, like, a city is just another city. Like, I don't think like Tokyo is drastically different than New York, okay? Go to the countryside. I'm not saying super countryside. I'm not saying like go to a place with like there's no people, nothing, right? But go to like small towns, right? I on my website I kind of documented some of my journey. Basically, I started from Tokyo and I went down to Kamakura and I went to like uh, Hakone and then like many different places along the coast. But those kind of places, right? You can actually meet locals. You can actually talk to locals. You can actually experience what local living is like. Get the serenity that you don't get in a big crowded city. And I think it's really important. Again, one of the main tenets that we talk about in our community is you need to understand yourself in order to truly unlock your potential, to then truly make positive impact and help others, to then truly live your best life. If you don't start with this kind of process, it's really difficult because you don't really even understand what you want in the world yet. How can you help others?
Well done. Thank you so much. I'm very impressed by Conrad. Is one of those people who has a very good heart, minimal materialistic interest, even though we are living in materialistic world and everything costs money. And I don't meet so like digital nomad community is very supportive. You meet more people that are willing for you to succeed more than anyone anywhere else, where outside of digital nomad or these communities, in my experience, people want you to fail. Unfortunately, from my background, my home country, people mostly watching you to fail than to succeed. And that's what I found in communities like this, and what Conrad is creating is that when you enter and seeking for help and actually speaking out about your problems and challenges, people making sure and making everything possible to help you out if they can, of course. So thank you for, and I believe that many people like this exist, and they always need a little bit push to for someone to create this space when this is possible to support and help each other and be more open, supportive, and less materialistic minded, driven. So thank you so much for the work you're doing and how amazing you are personality. Enjoyed this conversation so much.
Likewise.
Is there anything else you would like to, I didn't ask you, and you would like to add from yourself?
Oh. No, I want to thank you actually. I really appreciate your energy that you've brought to this conference. This conversation I think is lovely. I think, there needs to be more entrepreneurship, I think, coming from many people because I think everyone has a good idea. Everyone has ideas of what needs to exist in the world. And I think we're the only ones holding ourselves back. It doesn't mean that every idea is a good idea, right? But if you don't even talk about it, if you don't even start sharing about it, how do you know if it's a good idea or not? So my only last thing is like, hey, if you guys are passionate about something and you're already building upon it in some meaningful way in your own isolated, journey, join us, right? We're over at the.x3.family or just x3.family. Also find us. And we're just a community of people just like you who want to create something that will benefit us and hopefully will benefit the world.
Thank you.